here at ESW, we use a whole productive type software to manage all the remote workers that we have, which is over 12,000. They all work from home on a computer. You have some senior management in the location in Austin, Texas, but most of the team is scattered throughout the globe working remote. So I had to create a condensed course. The program is actually 600 plus hours of learning how the software works, the algorithms that are involved, and so on and so forth. So this is a shortcut to help management that gets onboarded to manage all the contractors that they're responsible for. So I started off with navigation instructions, of course, and let's just jump right into it. Again, we're managing remote workers around the globe, so they needed some type of system. And this is the most detailed process I've seen. A lot of people aren't comfortable with the program, but it's nonetheless the most effective way to track software engineers and so forth. Okay, so if I am hired as a team lead and I am given, say, 50 people to manage, I need to understand how the system works. So let's go ahead into it. And what is WSPRO PRod? Well, it's a productivity tool that provides contractors, also known as ICs or individual contributors, with productivity coaching and insights. It's meant to be a virtual representation of the physical working world, enabling remote work to be effective. Okay, so there is different terminology. One is called a check and chat, which basically a 15-minute conversation with management to the individual contributor to find out what obstacles or blockers are present to in which the individual contributor is unable to complete their particular task that's been assigned to them. And there are a very, very stringent training for this. That's, like I said, 600 hours or so. I've done about 300 hours of it. And okay, so here are some key items. Again, we're just looking for the basics for team leads to understand. And we talk about 4 key areas that each management team is supposed to understand to get their head around WSPRO. And that would be the billing checklist, the WSPRO metrics and the CPU checklist, WSPRO calendar, focus and intensity checklist, and our WSPRO advanced checklist. The 4 areas are what is used to ensure compliancy with the WSPRO program. So I start off with some key phrases and acronyms, what XO is, short for crossover, what a WS is, short for Work Smart, and what's an MPR? You're going to hear that term a lot, Manager Progress Report. It's a standard weekly report that a manager gives to his or her manager using the standard format in the goals page in crossover. And we have ZBT, which is zero-based target. It's a long-term aggressive ideal state for your team's performance, expressed in terms of cost and unit. It derives from a detailed long-term plan. CPU, no, it's not core processing unit, it's cost per unit, and IC and so forth. Anyway, so those are some descriptions. What is the WSPRO billing checklist? And that, again, is composed of 6 criteria areas. If the IC is logged more than 35 hours a week, and the T84, which means trailing 8 weeks. Okay, and how they're paid, either Payoneer or paychecks, and their hourly rate. Make sure that their camera is enabled in the system, which takes a picture of the contractors every 10 minutes. It can be adjusted every 4 minutes if it's needed. And each individual contributor typically has a 40-hour work limit. So let's move on to the next slide. And we have metrics and our CPU checklist. So what I did was I downloaded some snippets of the 600-hour training to illustrate how productivity is measured, and of course more criteria. And if they've automated their metric target, their performance, and so forth. And show a little bit about the application. I'll click this video just to show you a little bit.
Select the teams you want to use the contract for.
Again, this is the goals app.
We will be reviewing the performance of the team from April 10 to April 16. Here you can see 3 sections. The first section is strictly our goals. You can check
So that's how the goals application works, and that's among many varying applications that show the cost. They are very conscientious about keeping costs in line with productivity. So here we go, our WSPRO calendar focus intensity checklist. And each IC is measured by their daily activity, and WSPRO plays a role by having each manager define a carefully aligned calendar and measures the IC's daily performance by criteria. Having a calendar defined by manager, the management IC has a calendar alignment score and a focus score and so forth. Gemba walk, that is when you're being audited. So if you have not been using your time productively, they go, basically it's one of these audits that they do routinely. They randomly pick someone, I'm sure they have some method, and they will go through all their time cards, review their activity, screenshots, anything that's been flagged by management. And we talk about check and chat. I mentioned earlier that that is how management will communicate with their individual contributors by scheduling check and chats, usually between 10 and 15 minutes, just to review what's going on, give suggestions, find out any potential problems, and so on and so forth. And of course, the manager progress review. Okay, there's a template that I illustrate on how that works here. And the name of this program is called WSPRO, as you can see. Automate to eliminate section, that's time motion studies that can be done to reduce some senseless manual labor that's being done. And we have our Work Smart productivity video, how to be more productive. Rank and review, what that is. Performance evaluator, tool to improve each team, insights machine, and so forth. And then I, of course, have to attach all my reference points, which is all the templates and all the notes of how the system works, how to build your team. There's something called a cross-team structure. And again, this is just a 2-hour review of an entire system. what each team's metrics are, how the metrics are scored, what the criteria is, rather. Okay, so that gives you somewhat of an so management has an understanding of how the metrics are, where they're derived from, and how they play a key role in increasing performance. And of course, there's a new manager boot camp. There's a productivity coaching dashboard, and it's part of a very large system. All designed to make sure everybody working remote is productive, since you're not having a lot of face-to-face contact. So they have a 16-question quiz, and then the learner has to go in and answer a 25-question quiz as well. So their scores are tracked in our learning management system. So that is my summary of WSPRO PRod and how it works.